tell me some food that you spotted. Tell me the different cultures or the way of cooking that, as you traveled along, you spotted a community, you spotted a group of people, you spotted a village coming up or cooking up with something different. And that you said, wow, this should be brack on the plates.
So today, we are in Coimbatore, and this is Kongunad, right? And the food today is very well talked about. But back in the day, this entire region was struck by poverty, right? And what people made with whatever resources that they had is mind-boggling. There are two recipes when I came here to shoot for a show that stood out for me, and food has really taken me on these beautiful journeys. It has made me think in terms of how food can be used as a team building activity, as a storytelling, as management training, so many things, right? So this particular story from the Kongunad region is about two recipes that I came across. One is the Pallipalayam chicken. Much as we know about the Pallipalayam chicken today, which is filled with masala and all the rich ingredients, back in the day it was not. It was just pieces of chicken, pieces of coconut the same size as chicken, and very few, like chili powder and pepper, whatever, just sauteed together. The reason they added chicken is because back in the day when they had large families to feed and no electricity for some reason, they would add this piece of coconut as a substitute for chicken. Because they had a large family, and when kids were biting into it, they would know what is chicken, what is meat. So there's no comparison, one piece, that sort of a thing. So that is how that recipe came. And the Puli Rasam is also something that I've heard where people would not have like a firewood stove. They would not have that kind of money. So they would literally soak the tamarind, pull it out, add some shallots to it, coriander leaves, curry leaves, and just mix in some salt, and your rasam would be ready. So these are all things that came from adversity. Adversity is the mother of all invention.
Fantastic. You'll like both the dishes. Now you know the history of those dishes. Did you come empty-handed to SSVM? You didn't bring some dishes and come to serve all of us?
Next year.
Okay, so extend the invitation. We'll get some food at least. Excellent food from your side. But how many of you all actually want a life like this? Just travel, just eat, enjoy, get famous, talk to Rajiv. A few hands went down. Okay. But let's find out what goes behind the scenes. Mr. Rakesh, we've seen what you show us on the real world. What you show us on Instagram, we've seen, we love, we like, we share. But today it's about transforming, which is seeing the unseen and listening to the unsaid is what we want. It's such a glorious life. It's such an easy life. It's such a happy life. Or what are the challenges that we're unaware of?
Well, there are challenges like any other job. It is glamorous, no doubt. I'm not taking away from it. When the camera is in front of you, there is that adrenaline rush that is there when you're on stage. When the screen is going to go up, you have that energy. All of that is there. But there is a lot of hard work that happens. When you are conveying something about food, about history, I think you should be conscious of what you're trying to convey. And this is even in the context of you talking about an influencer, right? Today, everybody is an influencer. When you are actually telling people something, you are influencing them in something.
Correct.
Tell me one influencer who has gone into a restaurant where they have paid him or her and come out saying the food is bad. There has to be that consciousness. You have to understand, and you have to feel like what is it that you're ultimately doing. It is passion driven, there's no doubt, but what does your soul also say?
Do you feel ethics is something that needs to come in?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How many of you all want to be social media influencers, content creators? There are quite a few. So that side, we have a lot of aspiring content creators. We have upstairs as well. In changing times, you are going back to a culture, to a thought, to a process, to a story that you are telling us, which is in the ancient times. Times are changing, Mr. Rakesh. Do you have a shelf life? Like every product kept in your kitchen, do you also have a shelf life to content creation and influencing? Tell me about that. And how long does ethics last?
As long as one has ethics, I think you're there to stay. There's no taking away from that, because people today who watch your content are also people who are nuanced. You can't just say whatever you want and get away with it. They can see through that very easily. There was a brand that got in touch with me some time ago and said they never disclosed what it is. And they asked me to endorse a particular product, which personally I felt was unethical. And I didn't do it. It could have easily given me a lot of money, but I will be going against my conscience. Is that something I would give my family, my son? No. Why will I endorse it? So I think that is a thin line. That is a thing that you
Moral
should...
over money for a few people.
Yeah.
You give me their number, sir. For me, it's money over moral. I don't mind about. Okay. So what's the future of content creation? And do you believe that someone who has fondness for food, passion for food is very different from profession of food, right, sir? So do you think people who are all raising their hands saying, yes, we love what you're speaking about, we love what you're doing, if they want to make a career out of it, what is the path you tell them to do and what do you say don't do?
And this is not just for content creation, because I don't fall under the content creation category. I'm there on social media, sure, I enjoy it, I won't say no. But for me, it is more about telling the story, telling the nuances behind food, telling the aesthetics behind food. I mean, experiencing the romance when you eat that particular item. So I think for people, and irrespective of what career you want to choose, one thing that drives you to do that is being passionate. You need that fire in the belly and be passionate about what is it that you want to do. What is it, that vision? Many people, when they taste success, they're chasing something. There is that light that they're chasing at the end of the tunnel. You don't even know if you've reached that. Correct. I think that is important.
And when he says fire in the belly, pun intended, he literally means in the belly. Okay, we'll move on. This is what he speaks about. Storytelling is an art. Cooking is an art. Traveling is an art. You're a masterpiece. You really are an artist. We'll take questions about people who are interested to know or ask him things about his wonderful work. Raise your hands if you have questions.
Namaste, sir. My name is Ashmita Arun from grade 8A, Rook and Film School.
She's here.
What is your signature dish or signature food? That's my question.
He has so many signatures. If he starts saying it, we will not be able to go back. You have a lot of signature dishes. Which is your, like you feel, this is my ace?
Like you said, I have, most of what I make is something that I genuinely love, but I would say South Indian food is definitely my calling.
Is it food wants you or you wanted the food? Because you always put it in such a way that food or the South Indian culinary actually wanted you to speak about it to the world. Is it like that? Do you feel you're the spokesperson for a menu?
I think it's two-way traffic. There was a point where I wanted food and now it's time to give back to food.
Wow.
Definitely South Indian food, because I feel the story of South Indian food is still not known. People still stereotype saying it is just idli, vada, dosa and sambar, filter coffee, rose milk.
But which is the dish you have tried and you still know it doesn't taste good? You can't make it. Which is that dish?
You know, the tamarind rice or the puliyodara that my mom or my grandmother makes is something that I can never get. And I'm fairly sure my mom is not giving me the full recipe. She would be like, you just go there, I'll mix it and I'll come, and I'm sure she's adding something to that when I'm not there. I've still not been able to crack that.
It's the mother's love, which you will never be able to get back, give
here.
back.
It's all here. Decades and decades of just love, because I always feel many people say, oh, I'm just a housewife. It's a thankless job.
Yeah.
It's a thankless job that they do.
You students won't know now, but yes, it is a very, very thankless job.
Because at
True.
the end of the day,
It's time
all
to
they're
acknowledge
doing is
that.
feeding large families day in and day out. It's a Herculean task. If someone asked me to do it on a day-to-day basis without any expectation, I wouldn't do it.
And being a chef is a very difficult job, because when you go to a restaurant and you order something, you taste the food and you like it, then you don't even call the chef. But if the salt is less, there's something missing, you say, call the chef out. That's unfair. It's a very hard job. It's a thankless job. And I would like to thank you and the community of chefs who actually prepare food with the perfect ingredients, but with love that is overdosed. Yes, you please.
Hi, sir. My name is Anshu, and my question for you is being such a successful person,
Thank you.
you first had cooking as a passion, and now you've turned it into a job. So, how do you ensure that you receive adequate payment?
This is the lovely
How do I-
question. It is a great question. How can your passion become your profession? Only if there is money.
She wants to know how I make money.
I want to know your bank balance. Because I thought might want a partnership or something like that. I'm sitting closer to you if you didn't understand. I'm slowly like this. A good question. I really think it's a great question. How do you earn the bucks and where do you balance? I love this. This is my life. And I love this. I can do this for a living. They're two different things.
So let me tell you, Rajiv, my journey in the food space has not been easy. There is a bit of privilege. I'm not going to shy away from that. But in my case, until my career, because it was a very, very niche career when I was trying to tread on, it could go, there was a point of time where I was figuring, am I going to do music? Am I going to be doing food? And it was a conscious decision that I chose to do food. And I think at that point of time, there were, everybody in the creative space goes through dark days. Like you suddenly feel the going is great and you suddenly feel you're in a very, very dark phase, right? So, and I think that's part of the creative journey. If my food venture did not fail, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Thank God for failure sometimes.
To answer your question, it is remunerative now. But if you ask me a few years ago, it was still brand building. And I had an incredibly supportive wife who said, you know what, just go all out, follow your dreams, follow your passion. We will do the mundane work of, she's a corporate lawyer, she runs her own law firm. So she said, I would do that, I would be your backbone. Sky is the limit, go for it.
If you didn't say her name, she might file a case on you. Good you said that. But look at the wonderful story on a serious note and a light note balancing. Behind every successful story, there is the blessing of a lady or the support of a woman is always there. I think we as a society, we talk about disrespect, abuse. But I think heart of hearts, every man knows that not behind but beside every successful man and ahead of every successful man is an even more successful woman. I think that's
let me add to that.
Yeah.
We have to learn a lot from women on how to keep things together. Men will crumble.
That's so true.
There are situations where I've seen women in my family, including my wife and mother, who just hold it together. I would be like, how do you even do this? And they will be multitasking and doing so many things while holding it together. I mean, hats off to them, and this is just woman
And to
power.
all the women, and I think this is a great note to acknowledge all the teachers as well. You all balance the students, your family, your career, your dreams, your own aspirations. So a big thank you to all the teachers as well. And advanced Happy Teachers Day from Rakesh and me, two partners in business. Okay, last question.
A story behind a spoon of food. As you said, can you say any history of a dish?
History of any food. Can you go in and tell us the food that we have on our plates? Is there some historical facts that we don't know about? Of course there are.
Okay, how many of you think idli is South Indian?
Now after you ask this question, I think no. But before you ask the question, I thought yes.
Do I see all your hands up? Can I say 90% think it's South Indian?
Yeah.
The answer is no.
I fell down. Why? Where is it from?
So many years ago, if you look at, say, some of the culinary manuscripts, right? It is mentioned two items called the idli and idrika. If you look at the ingredients that go in, it talks about black urad dal that is soaked in buttermilk and ground and mixed with pepper. Nobody knew what they made with it. The concept of steaming was not there in India many years ago. To answer the point about idli, if you take the example of the Kanchipuram idli, which is made in the Varadaraja Swami Koil, it is a bamboo basket that is lined with the mandara yele. And around 2.5 kilos of batter are poured inside and steamed in that basket. To prove a point that we did not have a utensil in India many years ago for steaming. So the concept of steaming and fermentation, is something, and rice also is something that came from Southeast Asia. You have fermentation in the form of kimchi, you have steaming in the form of baos and many things in Southeast Asia, but you did not have something like that in our side of India. But one thing to look at it, now it's very easy for me to say, yeah, it's not South Indian, but I think where as a historian you also piece it together is you're assuming today that it was Southeast Asia and India, but back then it would have been a landmass, it would have been the same kingdom. So when there is that whole cross-cultural movement that happens, so many culinary practices went here and there as well. So
How many of you all think idli is a South Indian food? No more. Facts, figures, transformation of ideas. Put your hands together for Mr. Rakesh.
thank you.